Translating ordinary language statement into categorical form is the last section of this particular chapter. The process of translating ordinary language statement into categorical form does not have fixed set of rules that can account for every possible way of expressing a statement. However, there is one general rule that always applies. You need to understand the meaning of the given statement and then re-express it in a new statement that includes quantifier, subject term, copula, and predicate term, right? So while translating particular non-standard form or ordinary language, first make sure that all the 4 elements, component parts are existent, right? During this translation process, you may encounter various forms of common phraseologies, such as terms without nouns, non-standard verbs, singular prepositions, adverbs and pronouns, unexpressed and non-standard quantifier, conditional statements, exclusive prepositions, the only accepted prepositions, right? These are common phraseology that may help us to easily translate non-standard or ordinary language into their standard forms. More specifically, the only exclusive preposition and acceptive preposition are somehow more confusing, and you need to pay more particular attention in an attempt to identify them. Terms without nouns. When translating categorical proposition, it's very important to ensure that both the subject and the predicate terms consists either a plural noun or a pronoun that represents the class being referred to. Nouns and pronouns are used to denote class, while adjective and participle express attributes, right? In case where the term consists only of adjective, it is necessary to introduce a plural noun. Now look at the example. Some reds are red. Some roses are red. It seems to be what? Standard form. But it fails to be in the standard form. Why? Some roses are red. It's not in standard form. The standard form is rather some roses are red flower. Why the statement some roses are red is failed to be in standard form? Because the predicate is only an adjective, right? An adjective cannot be either subject or the predicate, right? We need to add plural noun to make it in its full-fledged standard form. The same thing is true for the second word. All tigers are carnivorous is not in standard form because the predicate is not a noun. It's only an adjective, right? An adjective has to be attached with plural noun to make it in a standard form, to make it in a full-fledged standard form. Second is non-standard verbs such as is or is not must be translated into what? Are and are not, right? Or will and will not, or etc. It should be translated into their standard form. It's their standard. Some college student will become educated is non-standard form because we lack what? Copula, right? The standard form copula is what? Are and are not. We need to translate them into their standard form. We make sure that the quantifier, subject, the copula, and the predicate terms are already there. Singular propositions are statements. It's one that makes a specific assertion about particular person, place, things, or time. When we translate a singular proposition into universals, we often introduce parameters. Singular proposition requires parameter that modifies the form of the statement without changing its meaning. The parameter we can use for this translation includes people identical to for people, place identical to for place, things identical to for things, case identical to for case, and times identical to for time. Right? Let's look at an example to better understand this process. Consider the statement Socrates is immortal. Translate the singular prepositions into universal proposition. We can use the parameter people identical to. The translation will be all people identical to Socrates are people who are mortal, right? And you need to be aware of the difference between identical to and similar to. What's the difference between identical to and similar to? It's important when translating singular proposition, we must distinguish between people identical to and expression like people similar to. People like, while there may be many people who are similar to Socrates, there is only one person who is identical to Socrates. So the parameter people identical to specifically refers to individuals who are exactly the same as the subject, right? So you need to be sensitive to these two expressions, right? Identical to and similar to are narrowly different but widely, popularly, we can use them interchangeably, right? But in translating ordinary language to standard form, you need to be sensitive. Adverbs and pronouns. When a statement includes special adverbs like where, anywhere, everywhere, or nowhere, or temporal verbs like when, whenever, anytime, always, never, it can be translated in terms of places or times respectively, right? He always wears a suit. His standard form is all times. He goes to works are times. He wears a suit, right? So all special adverbs or temporal adverbs must be translated into universal, affirmative, or universal, negative, depend on the meaning of the statement, right? Depend on the meaning of the statement. So the only basic formula, in fact, is to understand the meaning, understand the very implication of the statement, right? These are just common phraseology that will be help as a clue or a source of information to translate into the standard form, right? But all you have to do is just to translate to understand the very implication of the meaning of the statement, right? Unexpressed quantifier. Emeralds are green gems. What is unexpressed quantifier? All, some, or no? All, right? Emeralds are green gems suggests that the quantifier all is already implicit in that particular statement. In this case, the implied quantifier is all. The statement asserts that every emerald, without exception, is green gem. There is lion in zoo. What's the expressed quantifier? Unexpressed quantifier? Some, right? The implied quantifier here is some. The statement suggests that at least a few lions, or not necessarily all of them, can be found in the zoo. A tiger is a mammal. The unexpressed quantifier is all, right? So there is no hard and fast rule to translate them, but all you have to do is just to understand the meaning of each term and translate them into their closer standard form, right? Non-standard, we're just finishing, just wait a moment. A fish is not a mammal, not fish are mammals. Non-standard quantifiers such as a few or anyone or not everyone in a certain ordinary language statement, the quantity or the extent of the assertion is indicated by words other than the three standard form, such as all, some, and no. Non-standard, a few soldiers are heroes. What is the non-standard quantifier? A few, right? The same thing is true for the second one. Anyone can be translated into all, and not everyone who votes is a Democrat, and is the same as some votes are not a Democrat into particular negative statement. So the very essential thing is to understand the meaning of the entire propositions. And sometimes you need to pay attention to the place of the subject and predicate. More specifically in conditional statement, we don't have to alter the subject and predicate. All conditional statement is translatable into universal, affirmative, or universal, negative, depend on the meaning of the original statement. Depend on the original statement, right? When a conditional statement has the antecedent and consequent referring to the same class, it can often be translated into categorical form. In such case, the statements are always translated are universals. The language following the word if is placed the subject term of the categorical proposition, while the language following only if is placed in the predicate term. Only if has special treatment. It requires special treatment. Only if is placed in the predicate term. Here is an example. It's a mouse, then if it's a mouse, then it's a mammal. All mice are mammal. Whereas, unless it's a conditional statement, the same thing is true for unless, but unless means if not. If not, the statement that comes after if must be placed in the subject term, but you need to introduce the term complement for the subject class, unlike the positive conditional statement. Unlike the positive conditional statement, we need to insert the term complement for the subject class. What does it mean? Tomatoes are edible unless they are spoiled. What's the standard form? All unspoiled tomatoes are edible tomatoes, right? So the phrase or the expression that comes after unless or that comes after if must be placed immediately after the quantifier. It must be placed immediately after the quantifier, right? After exclusive proposition, the only and exceptive proposition is somehow tricky to identify. But once you know the whole list of words that are included in exclusive proposition, that will make our task much more easier. What are exclusive propositions? What are exclusive propositions? A proposition that includes the words such as what? Only, none but, none except, and none except. Right? They are exhaustive in their list. Right? Exclusive propositions. And the rule applies to them is what? It's important to remember that language following the exclusive proposition should be placed in the predicate term of the categorical proposition. Right? The language following the exclusive proposition should be placed in the predicate of the categorical proposition. For example, let's consider the statement, only executive can use the silver elevator. The correct translation is what? Positive, universal positive statement is what? All people who can use the silver elevator are executive. It would be wrong to translate that in such a way that all executives are people who can use silver elevators. Right? So the language that follows exclusive proposition must be kept in the predicate term. That's something that you need to pay attention in exclusive proposition. And you may be confused with only and the only. Only and the only. The only has its own particular treatment. It needs to be treated separately. The only is not exclusive proposition. In translating a language written in the form of the only, all you have to do is just to change into conditional statement. Right? The only SRP means if SRP. And they have exactly the same meaning. The only SRP means if SRP. Right? So we can use the same rule for conditional statement for propositions that are written in the form of the only. Right? Don't confuse the only with only. Only are exceptive propositions which have its own rules in translating ordinary language, and whereas the only is something that needs to be into conditional statement. But there is an exception where the only and only can be treated identical. Statements involving the only are similar to only in one aspect. When the statement refers to what? An individual. Two statements are needed to accurately translate it. For instance, the statement that the only person who painted a picture is Megan means the Megan painted a picture and no other person did. So the meaning of the statement is equivalent, right? To only Megan painted a picture, right? Only and the only can be treated equally when the subject is about what? About particular individual or single person, right? Yes, the only and only is somehow point of confusion for most of the students. Exceptive proposition includes what? All except the SRP and all but SRP. Exceptive propositions somehow can be confused with exclusive proposition. Don't confuse exceptive proposition with exclusive proposition. What are the two expressions of exceptive proposition? All except SRP and all but SRP, right? And a statement written in this form requires pair of conjoined categorical proposition to accurately represent them. First one is universal negative, and second one is universal positive by attaching term complement immediately before the subject term. All except students are invited is the same as no students are invited people, and all non-students are invited people. Exceptive proposition, you don't have to change the place of the subject and the predicate. All you have to do is just to translate them into universal negative and universal positive by attaching the term complement immediately before the subject term, right? So acceptive proposition, it requires two ways of translation, right? So this is the common phraseology, but the most basic technique is to understand their meaning and to find their equivalent translation using your own discretion, right? Using your own discretion. You can use those 10 phraseology as the first step, and you can use your own discretion to translate into their standard form. Translate the following statement into standard form of categorical proposition. Now tell me, to which phraseology does it fall? Any bank that makes too many risks loans will fail. Non-standard form, accepted proposition, exclusive proposition, conditional statement, singular proposition, right? So the easiest method first is to identify to which common phraseology does it fall, right? Once we identify, it will be easier to translate it. Any bank that makes too many risks loan will fail. Your name is Cafiello. Cafiello, yes. Yes. To which phraseology? Non-standard quantifier. Non-standard quantifier. Which is what? Any is non-standard quantifier. The standard quantifier is? All. Yes. So the new statement is what? All banks that makes too many risks loans are what? Banks that will fail. Banks that will fail. Correct. Yes. Number 2, bromine is extractable from seawater. Bromine is extractable from seawater. Yes. ያልተሳተፋችሁ ወይም ያልመለሳችሁ ልትመለሱ ትችላለች። yes. ካሊድ ሙስጠፋ ኒው ሃንድ ካልአብ ሙላቱ or ETS 0744 0744 ቅዱስ አያሌው ቅድስት ዓለም ቃልኪዳን ሞገስ ቅድስ ወለላው To which common phraseology does it fall? Bromine is extractable from seawater. Non-standard verb, non-standard quantifier, accepted proposition, conditional statement, temporal adverb, spatial adverb, singular proposition. Very good. What is the new statement? Yes, it's a singular proposition, so it requires what? Parameter. What kind of parameter? People identical to, things identical to, times identical to, place identical to. Things identical, because prom is the thing. Then the new statement is what? Universal positive. All things identical to bromine are things extractable from seawater. Yes, very good, yes. Okay, you are already. Terrorist attacks succeed whenever security measures are lax. To which phraseology does it fall? Terrorist attacks succeed whenever security measures are lax. Conditional statement, special adverb, temporal adverb, acceptive, the only, exclusive proposition. Kasawan Tafarra, you like to reflect? Terrorist attacks succeed whenever security measures are lax. It can best falls to which common phraseology? Acceptive, non-standard verb, terms without noun. It's what? Yes. Adverbs. Which type of verb? Temporal or special? Temporal verb. Yes. Temporal with the word whenever, right? So the expression that comes after whenever must be kept in what? In the subject of the translated statement, right? So all what? The new statement is what? All times, it's temporal verb. All times security measures are lax. Are what? Are times terrorist attacks succeed. All times security measures are lax. Are times terrorist attacks succeed. Right? Spatial and temporal adverb, they require parameters, right? In addition to singular singular propositions. If it's a halogen, then it's not chemically inert. Kebron, yes. Conditional statement. The new statement?
No halogens are chemically inert.
Correct. Correct. Yes, correct. Correct. No halogens are chemically inert. And it's possible, what else? All halogens are substances that are not chemically inert, right? Yes. No halogens are chemically inert. They have equivalent meaning. They have the same meaning. Yes, correct. Kebron, yes, already መልሰሻል ልበል None but pirate ships fly the Jolly Roger. Who can? None but pirate ships fly the Jolly Roger. እስኪ ያልመለሱን እድል ልስጥ yes ካሊያ ሙላቱ or ካሳሁን ተፈራ ኬና መርጋ ካሊያ ሙላቱ ቅድስት ዓለም ቅዱስ አያሌው Kena Abdi, yeah, okay, Abdi already mentioned, yes. No, but pirate ships fly the Jolly Roger. To which phraseology does it fall? Exclusive. Correct. No, but pirate ships fly the Jolly Roger falls to exclusive. And the new statement? The new statement is what? All pirate ships fly the Jolly Roger. Incorrect. No. Yes, the new statement is? Non-standard form. Only is not a standard form. What is the standard form? None but pirate ships fly the Jolly Roger means the same as the standard form. Yes. Thank you very much. Yes. All ships that fly the Jolly Roger are pirate ships. The expression that comes immediately after the exclusive proposition must be kept at the predicate, right? You need to pay particular attention. A few organic silicones are used as lubricants. Kale Mulatu, Kebron Wenderson already. ቅድስት ዓለም አልመጣችም። ኦኬ ቅድስት ዓለም አልመጣችም። አብሰንት አሁን የወጣች ነች። እሺ ኦኬ yes ቃላ ባያለው yes a few organic silicones are used as lubricant. Non-standard what? Non-standard what? Quantifier, yes. The standard quantifier?
Some organic silicones are used as lubricant.
Yes. Your name? Abdurrahman. Yeah, okay, Abdurrahman. Yes, it has a value. Comets are the only heavenly bodies with tails. To which phraseology does it fall? Comets are the only heavenly bodies with tails. To which phraseology? To which? Yes. Acceptive, conditional, exclusive. Exclusive.
Comets are some heavenly bodies with tails.
No. Standard form. Yes, standard form. Manda form.
All things similar to comics are the things everybody uses.
Little modification, good trial. Actually, it does not require parameter, right? Just little modification, wonderful. Yes.
All heavenly that is are with tails are blessed.
That's it. Your name? Name? ቅድስት ወለላው. All right, all right. ቅድስት ወለላው. ወለላው, yes. Correct. All naval body with tails are comet. No shellfish except oyster makes pearls. Kasawan Tafara, yes. To which, yes? Acceptive. Is that? Are you sure? No? It's what? Exclusive, right? Statement which is written in the form of no except is exclusive. You can refer back to your notes. Who can tell me the new statement? No shellfish except oyster make pearls. You can tell me the standard form. It's not exceptive, it's exclusive. That's why I said you repeatedly pay attention to exceptive and exclusive. New hand, color design, yes.
More oysters, which are shellfish, are weak pearls.
All?
Oysters, which are shellfish, are weak pearls.
Idle. The phrase that comes after except must be kept at the predicate. Yes. Yes.
All shellfish that makes pearls are oysters.
Once again, all?
That makes pearls are oysters.
Oysters, correct. Thank you very much. Your name? Yes, all right. Correct. All shellfish that makes pearls are oysters. Yes. The phrase that comes after the except must be kept at what? At the predicate of the translated statement. And make sure that it has equivalent meaning it's original statement. All passengers must have a valid ticket except for children under the age of 5. ቆይ አንተ እንዳዘባረቀብን ቆይ ሌሎች እጅ ልስጥና አንተ መጨረሻ ላይ ቆይ የሆነ አውቆ ለመዘባረቅ ነው እንትን የሚለው ዋጋህን ታገኛለህ ችግር የለም ኦኬ አዲስ እጅ all passengers must have a valid ticket except for children under the age of 5. Yes. You will reap your consequence. Yes. ቅድስት አያሌው ማን ቅድስት አያሌው yes. You will reap what you sow. የዘራኸውን ታጭዳለህ ነው የሚባለው። ኦኬ yes ከአንተ ተሳትፏል አዲስ To which phraseology does it fall? All passengers must have a valid ticket except for children under the age of 5. Exclusive? Acceptive. It's acceptive, correct. And the new statement requires what? Acceptive proposition requires two ways of translation, yeah? Kanan, ችግር አለ? ምነው ተቆነጠነጥክ? የስ ስነ ስርዓት መያዝ ይጠቅማል አልፎ አልፎ የስ
No
All
passengers have valid tickets. Have valid tickets. Are children under the age of 5.
No, no. Acceptive proposition requires two way of translation. One is what? Universal negative, and the other is universal positive by attaching the term complement before the subject class. So let's begin with the universal negative. What's the universal negative translation? All passengers must have a valid ticket except for children under the age of 5. Universal negative translation. እስኪ አንዴ ሳቅና ይወጣል። እስኪ አፈናፍነ የምትቁነጠነጠው ነገር የሆነ የታፈነ ኢሞሽን አለ ይመስለኛል። what are you side talking? What subject? ምን ያቅነጠንጣል? All passengers must have a valid ticket except for universal negative. No children. No children under the age of 5 are what? Passengers who must have valid ticket. And the second one is universal positive. All non-children under the age of 5 are passenger who must have valid ticket, right? Must have a valid ticket. This is the basic way of translation. Yes, እያንዳንድን እንቅስቃሴ ያላየው እንዳይመስለው። ኦኬ ታገኘዋለህ። ያ all right, so next week we will have presentation through your group representative.